Nutton. I'm one of the art teachers here at Laboratory. I'm part of a large creative arts department where we do art and we do textiles and some other sort of mixing media and so on. Today I'm just going to show you guys how to do a marble effect print. And it's a really easy task to do, super fun, and it creates a really beautiful effect which you can use for all sorts, whether it's making your own sort of wrapping paper or birthday cards or decorations for your room, or even like a book cover, maybe you want to back one of your books. But it's up to you anyway what you do with these. What you'll need is some sort of tray or container to put your shaving foam in. I'm just going to use one of mine for my classroom, but you can use a baking tray, a large bowl, a casserole dish, anything that will contain that foam in one place. Of course you need your shaving foam as well. This can be any brand, it doesn't matter, as long as it's in sort of a can that can be squeezed out. Just be careful, please make sure that you're not going to be allergic or too sensitive to touch this sort of foam. I've got something to scrape your foam off with at the end as well, so you'll need it to scrape your paper with. I've just got a piece of cardboard. It's super, just make sure it's not too flimsy. So mine's nice and thick, it's nice and sturdy, it's not being bent, so I can make a quick scraping action with it. You could use a spatula, a squeegee if you've got a squeegee for your showers at home, anything that you're allowed to use at home that will scrape it off with in one big movement as well. I've got watercolor paper here. You don't have to have watercolor paper. This is just nice and thick and it's able to sort of take that moisture from the materials we'll be using today. So any thick paper will do, and any size that you want that will fit into your tray. I'm also going to be using watercolor. So I've got my watercolor palette here. This is one that we just use in class all of the time. And what I've done in a little palette, you could do it in little bowls or something if you've got these. I made sure that I filled up these little holes with water already. And then what I did was mixed in to my palette. I think this one was my red one. Mixed into my palette. And just added it to the water to make it nice and bold, okay? This is a way you could use watercolours to make them a bit more watery rather than it being in a palette. Or you can use food colouring, and you can even use watered down acrylic paint. It depends what you've got at home, but you can get food colouring really cheap and then you can just dribble it in instead. Okay, I've also got a pipette. I've borrowed this from Science, but I'm sure if you've got something at home, you could even use a spoon, anything you can just dribble the colour into the foam. So we're going to get started. So I'm going to give my can a little shake just to make sure that it's all ready. And I'm going to fill up the tray with the foam. Now my foam's come out quite jelly. This isn't quite the one that I wanted, but this is what we've got. Just going to give it a moment to react. It's not quite the squeezy type that we wanted. Give it a moment to set. I think this might not be the best one to use. It's a bit too gel based. Okay, it's a gel based one. Okay, you want to try and get more of a foam based. Mine's already run out. That wasn't great for that price, so maybe just buy your cheapest ones possible. And what we're going to do is I'm going to mix this up a little bit because I just want it to spread closer. I think it needs moving about a little bit to make it react as well. So I'm going to just mix mine up a little bit. There we go. It's getting the colour more back to the sort of white foam that you'd be used to. So I'm just using the end of my brush. There we go. Now can you see how I'm getting that to move around? So you want this really frothy type of foam going. The cheaper this the kind of foam, the better really, because it generally comes out super frothy straight away. I'm just really mixing it up to make sure I've got that super fluffy sort of effect. Okay, so once I've got that, once I'm happy with the amount that I've got there, I'm just going to pop mine down so I can see it. Then we can get started. Okay, so I might even scrape some of mine over a little bit to spread it out a bit for maybe some of my larger pieces of paper. One thing you could do as well is you could even cut out some of your paper into different shapes, or you could do that after once you've printed with it. To create lots of nice different effects, and if you want to put them on your wall, in your bedroom, and so on, it gives you lots and lots of opportunities to just get creative and decorative, really. Right, now I've got a nice bed of foam to use. I'm just going to pop that in there. I'm going to get my pipette. I'm going to squeeze up some of the watercolour, and if you can see, I'm going to start dribbling it in to the foam. I picked out warm colours. These are like my favourite colours to use. And it would go with some things at home. It would go with my sort of room decor. So they're all nice and warm colours. So I've used reds, I've used pinks, I've used oranges, and then I've got quite a vibrant yellowy sort of colour as well. So just dribbling those into my foam. Maybe get a little bit more in some of them. You can always mix more colours, and you can reuse your foam multiple times, which is quite nice. I will definitely have to because my foam's empty already. Okay, and now I've done that, I'm just going to use the end of my brush, or whatever you're using. You can use a spoon, whatever, and just to make that marble effect, I'm just going to trail it back and forth. And I'm going to trail it this way as well to create this really sort of swirled effect with the colours. Okay, once I've got that, just clean it off a little bit. I'm going to get my first piece of paper. This is one thing I forgot to mention, is you might want to make sure you're wearing an apron or something you're not too bothered about getting dirty. But it's not the messiest activity, to be fair. If you get this on your clothes, watercolour will generally come out. But if you get food colouring on your clothes, it's not going to come out. So make sure you're wearing something that you either don't care about getting stained, or an apron if you've got an apron. So this is where the fun part where we get to make our prints. So I'm getting my piece of paper and I'm putting it face down, and I'm pressing it carefully into the foam, and I'm making sure it's actually getting pressed on there as well. So it's going to pick up some of the colour. Pressing it in gently, and then I'm going to pull it up, and you'll see a sort of messy sort of effect. And I'm going to get my scraping tool. I'm just going to make a bit of space for this, and in one long action is wipe it off. Okay, I've got some bits on this end as well. I'm going to wipe that into my tray and wipe it off again. And you'll start to get these really nice marble effect prints. I think I want a little bit more colour in mine. I might even make them a little bit bolder next time. So what you can do, that's that. You can pop that to the side to dry as well. Then you can go back to your foam, and you might want to drop some of that foam back in there to save it. And now I can go back and add even more colours to it. So if I want to go back and maybe I need more colours again, I'm going to add some really dark reds. I feel like the red showed up a lot more. What I'll do is, using my brush, I'm going to get a little bit of water from these, mix in again. I want mine to be really bold this time, so I'm not going to put as much water in them. So the more water you add to these, the lighter the colour will be. And using the pipette again, I'm going to add more of these colours. You see how much bolder this time the yellow has come out? So the yellow is much bolder this time. More of the red. We've got some of this sort of. Using the end of my brush again, I'm just going to drag some of this to get that marble effect. Now, because I've added most of my colours in this section, that's where I'm going to put my paper this time. And get a second piece of paper. I'm going to place it down this side. Make sure all the edges have gone down as well. If you can, maybe even smoothen it out over into this a bit as well. Going up. I've got much darker colours this time, much bolder. Make sure you can see. And again, using my scraper tool, just to make sure there's no leftover colours from last time. I'm going to get it as close to the edge as I can and scrape it off, scraping it into my tub. And then I might need to do it one more time because I don't think it's taking it all off. From the opposite side and scraping it off again. There we go. And then we've got another lovely marble effect. Once you've done multiple, you can keep going. You could have different colours in this time. You might want to go for a new colour scheme. You can generally keep cleaning this up using a spoon or whatever it is you want to do. I could even use my little scraper to scrape off this top layer. And then I've got a bit of a pinky orangey colour as well, which is quite nice. And then this time I could start afresh and start with some new colours if I wanted, because it's quite a thick layer of foam. So I could do a whole new set. And then, like I said, once these have dried, they could take between maybe an hour or so. It depends how much moisture is in them and how thick your paper is. You could use them for birthday cards, any kind of greeting cards, postcards, whatever you want to do. Once they're dry, you could write on them, draw on them. The possibilities are endless. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you managed to get some beautiful prints of them. I'd love to see some of them. Feel free to email them into school, and have the best time with them. Enjoy.